Good evening, UK Crime Book Club. I'm delighted to interview Caroline England again, and I've been really excited all day. Hi, Caroline. How are you?
I'm fine, thank you, and hello to you too. Yeah, it's been we've been discussing, haven't we, the weather in
Yes,
Manchester.
terrible.
Anyway, we've had it all, haven't we, today?
We have. It's been ridiculous. Everything but snow, I think I've had today.
Yeah, well,
So
it's still time.
there is still time. It's cold enough. Oh, so before we get started, you're running a competition. So if people have a look at the pinned post at the top
Yeah,
of the book club, so
yeah.
what can they win?
Well, they can win. I better quickly pull it out. Win one of five copies of Betray Her, which is my latest domestic suspense psychological thriller that came out just about 4 weeks ago now. So yeah, if they go to the pinned link, Little Brown, who are the publishers, are giving away 5 copies. And if you click the link, you put your name in and whatnot, and then I think in about a week or so, I think it maybe closes on the 30th of August. They will choose a winner. Well, 5 winners, better than just one.
Fantastic.
5. So yeah, I'd love anyone to. If you win it, please feedback and let me know what you think.
Yeah, we do love it when people leave reviews.
Yeah, I know, it's great, isn't it? I mean, sometimes you get stinkers, but they're still fun. Some, even the bad ones are quite good sometimes. You have to look on the bright side.
Yeah, I suppose you've got to take it with a pinch of salt, but
Well,
must be irritating though.
yeah, it is sometimes. I mean, I think you get used to it. Initially, I think your first sort of 1 star is a blow. But people
Yeah,
are going to have different opinions. Wouldn't it be boring if we all like the same thing? So people
definitely.
are going to have different opinions. And I think so long as it's a valid, I didn't like it, or a reason for it. Whereas sometimes they're just odd. Like they might just put a 1 word and go boring. That's a common one,
Wow.
boring. But maybe it'd be nice if they embellished it a bit. 1 star
Yeah,
boring. But anyway.
yeah, yeah. Not a great thing to have to read, I'm sure.
No, but of course they're important to authors. That's a frustrating thing, and
Yeah.
I feel that when anyone reads any of my books, I always sort of go, "Oh, thanks so much," and la la la, and then after a bit, you go, I know, I hate asking this, but would you please leave a review?" We all have to do it.
Well, I'm terrible for remembering to do it straight away, and then I'm always playing catch up. So I'm getting
Yeah,
better at that. Got
yeah,
to get better at that.
yeah. I think
We
also some readers, I think they've got to do something really elaborate, but you don't have to. Just like, well, boring would do, but hopefully not
Yeah.
boring. But
They
you don't
just
have
write
to.
fantastic instead, or
Yeah, that's it.
fabulous.
You don't have to write an essay.
We've got quite a few questions already in on the feed, so I'm going to have a look. Caroline Maston, hi Kaz, says hi Caroline and Sam, and she asks, "What's Betray Her about?" Ooh,
Ooh,
hard
well,
to hard to describe without giving things away. I always
no, it
think.
is a bit tricky, isn't it? But I think the title says a lot, doesn't it? Betray Her.
Yeah.
So it's about 2 women, Kate and Jo, who've been friends since they met in the musty halls of a boarding school aged 8. And although they were from very different backgrounds, they formed a bond, mainly because I think at boarding school you need to get that bond going because there's all the deprivation, lack of love, etc. So they get a tight bond, and it lasts until the present day. And the story goes back into the school days, but it's mainly in the present. And but this friendship isn't all that it seems. And as the book goes on, you get lots of reveals of what's gone on in the past. And as with all my stuff, it isn't all that it seems on the surface. And gradually secrets are exposed, and dark things that have gone in both at school and in their teenage years. So it's whether who might betray who of the 2 women, and of course there's a man in the mix, which always causes a tinderbox of emotion waiting to explode.
We've got quite a few questions. I've just been having a look at who they're from because it says Facebook user on BeLive, but TK Gearing, hi T, asks, do you ever fall in love with your characters? I love this question that's here.
Well, I think it's compulsory. I think because I mean my books are under the crime fiction umbrella. So they are crime, but obviously they're very much at the domestic suspense end of crime. But when I first started writing, I didn't know I was writing crime because I think at the end of the day, I write love stories in a bizarre way. Obviously, they're not rom-com ones, and they're very dark, and there's a lot of, human frailty and dark secrets and all the rest of it. But I always like to have love in there. So obviously, you have to. I like to have a male character in there that I would fancy because I think that helps the reader hopefully believe the characters. And of course, it's not just man-woman love. In My Husband's Lies, I had a famous gay romance in there as well. So I do like to write about deep love. So yeah, I do like to fancy the characters as well. I think that's really important to fancy them and be in love with them. But I think also we were talking about reviews a minute ago, and I was saying it can be quite devastating if you get a bad review. And when people say, I don't like the characters, and that always comes as a bit of a blow because I'm their mum. So, you obviously like your own characters, even though they're flawed and they've got lots of things wrong with them. I always like to give my characters a reason. They're not just evil for being evil's sake. There's childhood or reasons. But then again, also, because it's psychological thrillers, domestic suspense, they're not all going to be really likable characters, are they? Because obviously there are dark themes and crime. So,
of course.
it'd be odd if they were all smiley, really, really nice people, wouldn't it?
It would.
Or,
Caroline's asked, she said, loved My Husband's Lies. Did you find it hard to write characters with so many shades of grey?
Well, that's what I like, though. I think I should have been a psychologist. I like to dig behind the facade. Like on Facebook, you get all the happy photographs and everything, and we all put our best side, don't we?
Yeah, of course.
People are now sharing sad news and everything, but generally the smiley photographs are showing our best side. But we've all got a worse side, haven't we? We've all got secrets and things going on behind there. So I like to dig in and I like to find those secrets. But I hope in My Husband's Lies, and thanks for reading it, Kaz, I like to, I think, as well as all the secret and the grey area, there's great friendship and love in there as well. And I really like that. I love the friendship. And despite all those things that are going wrong as well, affairs and all sorts, and historic crime and what. But still, I like that tight group of friends in that one.
In the Carol Land books, obviously that's your other author name. Yeah. We meet Natalie Batch, and the characters and the friendships and the relationships in that law firm. You write that so well, how everything kind of intertwines and little bits come up here and there, and you leave questions hanging. But the friendships in there are just brilliant.
Oh, I'm glad you think so. Because again, that's important to me. It's like I don't know if any of you out there have read any of the. I write under Carol Land, and it's a drama series. I mean, the publishers did say it's a thriller, but it isn't really a thriller. I mean, it does have dark aspects, and hopefully it's suspenseful, and you want to turn the page to find out what happens, both with the characters' lives and with the legal cases as well. But there's a friendship between Nat, who's the main character. She's my feisty solicitor protagonist, and Gavin Savage, and he's a 6'6" non-PC Glaswegian. And I hope the readers love their relationship as much as I love writing about it, because there's a lot of humour and a lot of love as well, isn't there?
Yeah.
So I do enjoy doing that, yeah. And but you were saying about little reveals and whatnot. Someone in my writers group said they read Betray Her, and they said, gosh, you are such a fantastic plotter, amazing. And I never consciously plot things, so I think they must all subconsciously, all those plates you're spinning, must sort of be more a subconscious thing, pulling all the strings in. So, yeah.
We've got loads of questions for you. Caroline wants to know, would you write in other genres?
Well, the first book because I was a solicitor, the Carol Lamb books are about a solicitor, and I was once a solicitor myself. And in fact, the first book I ever wrote was a bit of chick lit, I guess. And it was about a female solicitor. Sorry if I'm flashing, I think it's my lights. It was
Probably
about
this lovely weather we're having.
probably. But that one was again about a solicitor who was in her 20s in the office, and it was about her relationship with her mum. Her dad had died, and a relationship with her mum, but also a romance and a bit of legal cases and everything. But it was, although there were some dark elements, it was meant to be quite humorous and more rom-comish. And I was thinking maybe I'll go back to that and polish it up a bit and maybe self-publish or something. So, yeah, but that's it. Then I went to the dark side. Everything else is dark.
You'll have to keep us posted if you do go back and finish it.
Yeah, I don't know if I'd be allowed on a crime book club. I'd have to put some crime in, wouldn't I?
Yeah, we could talk about everything, so it'd be fine.
Yeah, some romantic crime.
David Gilchrist says hello, and he loves the book in the background here.
No, thank you. Looks good.
TG has asked, what made you agree to this interview, and what do you hope to achieve from it? That's a new question.
Oh,
I know.
Well, I was threatened with certain death if I didn't come on.
Or just a bit of stalking from me to get you back on.
Yeah, it was actually blackmail. They found this dreadful secret about me, and Sam said, right, well, if you don't come on, I'm going to tell everyone. So I thought, well, I better.
I am so cold-hearted.
I guess what I hope to achieve by it is that some of you might be watching and might like to hear about the books I've written, and might want to read them maybe. And so that's why. And I think as an author, you have to get out there a little bit, because people won't know you're there, and they might enjoy reading your stuff, but
but they have to find you first.
That's it, exactly. And also, this is a fabulous club. You've got everyone's so lovely on it, and you guys, all the admin, you're all. No, I'm not just creeping up. They are lovely. They really are. You're a great team. Yeah.
It's all right. It's not flattery if it's true.
Yeah, well, that's it. It is true. Yeah.
Kaz says there's a bit of a Manchester Massive going on with authors from your area. We had Kate Ellis on yesterday. What do you think is behind there being a northern powerhouse of crime authors?
Well, I think we just go around killing people quite a lot, and getting away with it. I don't know, it's funny, isn't it? But Kate, funnily enough, she lives just down the road from me, and we met probably about 4 years ago or something. And she's obviously written 27 books or something, hasn't she? She's been writing forever. But we sort of met and became friendly, and we'd go round to each other's houses for a coffee. And then I ended up with the same publisher as her. So
wow.
And even the same editor. Well, one of the same editors. So yeah, that's not answering your question, but that was just a bit of an aside. Yeah. But
why not?
I don't know. I guess there's crime authors all around the country, not just in Manchester.
Had another one that says, do you ever get confused between your author personas? That was Kaz again.
My Caroline England and Carol Land, such as that. Well, I don't think so, because I think they're a different genre. They're both crime, but one is legal, I guess. But I think all my books are partly crime, but they're partly relationships. They're about people as well as the plot as well. So there's that combination. So I suppose they're quite similar. But yeah, well, I suppose as well, Carol Land is a trimmed version of Caroline England, isn't it? So yeah, I could easily get confused.
T has asked, would you ever work on a book with a co-author?
Yeah, I've heard that's actually become popular. I think a few Bloodhound authors have done that, but I don't think I could, because I don't know what I'm writing. until I've written it. I sort of have vague ideas of where I want to go. Sometimes I have an ending, and or sometimes I have secrets I'd like to reveal, and then I sort of have to build characters around them and whatnot. So I don't really know where I'm going with the story, and it sort of happens as I go along. So I don't think I could in that way. I don't think I could. I think you both would have to plot together. I think it'd be. I don't know that. I know some
Yeah.
authors have, because I think Nikki French is.
Nikki French
Anyways,
is a writing
yeah,
partnership.
yeah, yeah, and I'd be fascinated to find out how they do it, because do they do a chapter each, or do they sit and plot together and go, oh, this would be a good way to go. You write in that chapter, I'll do the next. Yeah, tricky, but I can't see myself doing it.
Yeah. Tell us a little bit about your short story collections.
Oh, right, yes, I shall show you the book. So the first one is Watching Horsepats Feed the Roses. Try and get it in the camera. It's funny how you go the wrong way, don't you? So this was actually initially published quite a while ago, before I was picked up by HarperCollins for Beneath the Skin. But the good thing about this, it was at the time, it was just a download, but it was a publisher who contacted me, and this guy from Echuca Books gave me the confidence to realise my writing was okay. So it was really, it was started, and then more recently I did it in redid it, polished it up a bit, and did it so you could have it in a book form as well. So these are 12 sharp and sweetly twisted tales. So I hope they're a bit sort of Roald Dahl-ish, you know. Do you remember Twisted? I don't know if you're
Yeah.
probably too young.
No, I'm not. You always say this.
Tales of the unexpected type of thing. So a sort of a nugget, a dark nugget with a twist. And then I had 12 more. So I thought, I'll do another collection. So that's Hanged by the Neck, and that's another 12.
They've both got great titles.
Yeah, I know that this one it's a bit of an odd title, but it's sort of memorable, because it's a bit unusual. But yeah, and what I think the good thing about short stories is, if you're on the tram or the train or something and want a quick fix, it only takes 10 minutes or something to read one. So I think that's the good thing about short stories.
Well, I must confess I've not actually read the short stories yet, but they are on my list. My never-ending list.
Yeah, no, I bet you've got to read. Yeah.
Yeah, there's always stacks and stacks of books, and I read a lot on my Kindle nowadays as well. Never thought I'd get into a Kindle, but with the the speed of sometimes having an author in a few days, and I wouldn't have time to get the book and then read it. Yeah, Kindle's become a lifesaver, really.
Yeah, I've always said that I don't have a Kindle. I do have the Kindle app on an iPhone, and I've always said, oh, I like books, I like books, but I've had to read a couple on a Kindle because of lockdown, where where they ask for an author quote and you can't get the actual book.
Yeah.
And actually, it wasn't as bad as I thought it'd be. Do you know
No,
what I mean?
you do get used to it.
So I thought I might treat myself to a Kindle at some stage. But I thought I'll wait till Black Friday, because they're always on an offer then.
They are always on offer then.
Yeah.
The questions are still rolling in. T wants to know, do you prefer writing short stories or full-length novels?
Full length now. Yeah, I haven't read it. I haven't written, but for me it was a really good grounding, starting with the short stories, and I never thought I could write a whole novel, because it just seems such a long, a short story might be 2,000 words.
Yeah.
A novel could be 100,000 words, or at least 80. And I never thought I could do that, but now I've done the novels, I'm a bit. I can't see myself going back and doing a short story unless it was for someone said, oh, there's an anthology or something.
Yeah.
And in many ways they're harder to write, because you have to get your beginning, middle, and your end in quite a short space of time, don't you? So at least you've got a novel's plenty of time to pull it
to
out.
really explore the story.
Yeah.
T, I believe, has asked, does the weather affect the way that you write? I think that's a really good question. Is it easier to write a more atmospheric storm story if you've been sat in a storm and things like that?
That's it. That is interesting. I need to have a think about that. I suppose it's like, if you went on holiday and were lying on the beach, would you be more likely to do a nice beachy thing? But no, I don't think so, really, because I'm a bit of I mean, where I'm sat now, this is my study and this is where I write, and I don't really write anywhere else. So I think sort of ignore what's going on outside and carry on with what's happening. But
Yeah.
yeah, it's a good I'm going to think about that one though when I'm writing it down. What's happening out there?
Kaz has asked, having been a solicitor, have you ever been asked to be an expert for another author?
No, and it's probably a good job really, because I might get it wrong. I've not practiced for a while, and that, of course, that's the other thing about the Natalie Batch books. I need to make sure I get the law right, otherwise someone's going to tell me off. But no, but in fairness, sometimes still though, I still get people, even though I've not practiced for probably 10 years now, saying, "Oh, Caroline, you're a solicitor. I've got this problem," and you sort of go, "Well, I haven't done it for," and they go, "Well, you'll know," and also people ask me about divorce law, and I did that when I first qualified, so that's even longer ago, and
Yeah.
So don't ask me, I'll give completely the wrong advice. But yeah, I mean, obviously you have a vague, I think that one of the good things is by having the background like that is you know at least where to find what the answer is. You know, that's part of the thing, isn't it? Because no solicitor is going to know the answer to everything, but they know how to find the answer.
Yeah. Do you ever miss being a solicitor?
No.
No. Short and sweet.
Well, my husband, who I can just hear singing out there.
I can't hear him.
Good job. He is a solicitor, and he does enjoy being a solicitor, but I think sometimes he goes, "Oh, you're so lucky not doing this anymore, Mr. Miserable." So no, I prefer being an author.
What made you decide to start writing?
Well, I think I'd always been writing in a way. I was sort of good at English at school, and I think I probably should have done an English degree, but I came from a family of lawyers, so I was a bit blinkered and did a law degree. And I think I'd always sort of thought I'd like to write, but I think a lot of people out there, listeners and readers think, "Oh God, how could I do it?" But I think we could all do it if we just do it, if you know.
Yeah.
And also I think when I left the law to bring up my girls, I think it was a work ethic thing. I liked to feel I was producing something.
Yeah.
So that's when I was doing all my short stories and whatnot. So.
Because your books are very heavily character driven, do you have to do a lot of research for them? And that's from Kaz.
Not really. I think, Kaz, it's me being lazy, really. They're so, because the stories are about us, ordinary people, who often are in an extraordinary situation. But so you don't have to do a lot of research about people and feelings and frailties and relationships. But what I do try and do research about is anything medical, and a lot of health comes into quite a lot of my characters and whatnot. So I always make sure I've got that right. Or for example, in Beneath the Skin, there was a character who self-harms. Then obviously you want to be very respectful and make sure you get it right. So I always do research and talk to people and all that type of thing. So if there's anything extra like that, or and that in My Husband's Lies, again, there's a character. Well, the story begins with a psychotic episode, which I hope people sort of realise. Otherwise, I think people might think, "Oh, this is an odd beginning," but it's too clear what's going on. So again, things like that I like to get right. But I couldn't write, say, historical, where you have to really research and spend hours. Sounds like really hard work, and I really admire authors who do that type of thing.
Yeah, I mean, you must have to have a real passion for it.
I think so, yeah.
That attention to detail.
I have a friend, Rosie Cullen, and she writes, I mean, she's fabulously clever and she's got degrees in everything anyway, but she writes about an actual character who lived but has fictionalized him. But she obviously she wants to get everything correct for the time and everything, and it's just amazing how much but she obviously loves it. She loves that research.
What keeps you going when you're writing? Tea, coffee, other beverages? I think that's from TG as well.
Tea, I'm Yorkshire tea. I do like, it definitely has to be Yorkshire tea, and I have lots and lots of cups of it. And I think, though, like we were saying before we began, it would be nice to have a glass of wine or something. But if you start falling asleep, that's no good, is
Yeah, not going to get you anywhere.
Yeah. So yeah, I'm definitely a tea drinker.
So somebody has asked, I've not read any of your books. Which book do you feel would entice me into your world? What a lovely way of putting it too.
Oh yeah. Well, it's a tricky one, isn't it? Because as the author, you like all your books, but My Husband's Lies was a top 10 Kindle bestseller for a long time. It sort of just shot up. I don't know how. I wish I could replicate it. But that did really well. But I think, having said that, I still think it's a Marmite story, because people seem to love it or sort of go, yeah, you know. But funnily enough, last night I was being a bit of a saddo because the audio was done earlier this year, and I've had trouble getting it on my phone, and I managed to get it on my phone. So I was sitting in bed listening to it, and I'm thinking, yeah, all right, yeah, I'm enjoying this. But I think that's more to do with the lovely narrator who's called Steve, an actor called Steve West, who narrated it. And so that has done really well, My Husband's Lies, and it's about a group of 4 people who are friends, and they all have secrets. But then again, Betray Her, my latest one, I like to, a good read too. And so, because this is out now, it's sort of my current favourite, as it should be. And I think it's got a really lovely cover, and I love that pink spine.
Yeah, it's lovely.
So I think whoever wants to start my books, I think just because it's a pretty cover, you should go for it.
The opposite of what we're normally told.
That's it, yeah. Never mind the cover. It's no, the cover. The cover.
Do you have some choice in your covers? They're all fantastic.
Yeah, when I was with HarperCollins, the first 2, that was these 2. So my debut was Beneath the Skin. I can get that to the camera. And you can see the next one, My Husband's Lies. They sort of carried on the theme. They sort of look similar, don't they?
Yeah.
So those, they sort of basically said, these are the covers we like them, do you? And I said, yeah, do. So that was that. But with Betray Her, hold on 1 minute, I'll just get from behind me. Sorry, it's just Betray Her went through 3 different covers, and they're very, very collaborative. My editor was great. She came back and said, what do you think? So for the e-version, when that first came out, that was it. So, and again, they asked for my input and whatnot. So that was interesting, the 2. And I like the way that sort of, the friendship, 2 women and one's, the friendship is.
Yeah.
Then this is a trade paperback size. So it's a bigger version that this comes out for the Australian and New Zealand market. And they've carried on with that split, but they went for the face.
I like the split down it. Yeah.
Because the face was very in, wasn't it? And obviously they've kept the face, but it's slightly different colouring. It's gone more blue, but it is the same lady. It doesn't look like the same person, but it actually.
Oh no, it doesn't.
No, it's just they've gone for the bottom half of her face. Looks, if you can see there. So, and again, they've got the split going through it. So, but I think from an author point of view, the cover is one of the most exciting bits. When they go, oh, what do you think? And I recently got my cover for the next book, which will be out in November. And that book's called Truth Games. And it's so exciting to see the cover. But I don't think it's not yet up on Amazon or anywhere. But I think it will be fairly soon, the image.
So it must have been difficult for publicity this year. Obviously, we're in an unprecedented in our times, rough year. So how have you found it?
Well, unfortunately, I mean, during lockdown, I've had because my first Natalie Batch one that was Convictions, that came out at the end of January. Then, of course, it all happened. So next one along, Confessions, that came out in June. We're in lockdown.
Yeah.
And then Betray Her, July, in lockdown. And I mean, a lot of people do read on Kindle, don't they? Like we were saying. So that's at least something. But I would have liked to have seen Betray Her in more bookshops and things, because it's such a lovely cover. I've seen it in. Sorry about my lights. Should I turn it? Is it?
No, it's fine.
Is it okay?
Yeah.
yeah, my local Waterstones and whatnot and it's lovely that they've stocked it and it's there. But it would have looked so good because of the spine. I think it would have been more stand out. But of course, a lot of people aren't going to bookshops, are they? So,
yeah, I've not. I will admit to ordering from Amazon during lockdown. Not been out, so I think I need to find a local bookshop. So any bookshops in Manchester, give us a shout.
Yeah.
Go for an independent one instead.
Yeah. Yeah, we've got a really good one in Didsbury called Morton's, and they're great. They stock loads of books, and they've been really supportive.
That's good.
But there aren't that many independents around anymore, are there?
No, sadly not.
No.
Yeah. TG, she writes as TK Gearing. She's one of our author members. Are you a tracksuit? Are you a tracksuit person when you write, or do you make an effort? When I write, I'm a bit slobbish, she said.
Well, I think that's appalling. I wouldn't dream of wearing a tracksuit with butter stains down and a bit of chocolate and everything. Yeah, that's what I do. I'm a tracksuit person all the time. I mean, it's honestly for lockdown. That's all I've sort of worn. It's dreadful. And then, of course, what's that delivery? DP something. But anyway, it's quite dishy. Our local guy who comes to the door, and that's when you go, oh, damn! I should have made a bit more of an effort. But yeah, no, I'm dreadful. Yeah, just comfort comes first. Yeah. And then people, of course, think you're ill as well, because if you've not put a bit of blusher on or something, you open the door, people go, "You're all right."
Yeah, nothing worse. Absolutely nothing worse.
Yeah.
How have your daughters found lockdown?
Well, they've been okay actually, because two of them have been working from here, and the other one's a uni student. But I don't know, she's managed to whittle the we've all been in the same house, so it's been nice for me having everyone home.
Yeah.
Although they get through food, children, don't they?
Oh yeah. Can you imagine? I mean, they get normally a snack at playtime and then the lunch, and they might come home and have a snack before tea about 17 times a day. What is there to eat?
Yeah.
Luckily, we've kept it well stocked, but yeah, they're constantly looking through the, see what there is. And it's rarely fruit that's the first choice. We have to remind them.
I know, and I've got 3 girls, and sometimes they're a bit like, "No, I've got nothing nice to eat." And I go, "Oh, you get what you're given,"
I think with mine, my son probably eats more than my daughters. So
yeah, I don't.
probably double some days.
Apparently they do eat a lot, don't they? Young boys, young men.
TG says you've had her in hysterics with your answer. Because Natalie Batch, for example, she can be really quite glamorous, can't she?
Yes, yeah, she can. Yeah, I think she's but she can be, on the other hand, she can be one of the lads as well, can't she?
Yeah.
So I've tried to get her so that she can. I think I see the image of her as she's quite pretty, but she'll just her prettiness shines through without her having to. And she's got quite sardonic ways, hasn't she? And she's quite feisty and sees through any BS and whatnot. So yeah. It's a few people have said, who would I cast? And that's a tricky one. Yeah, I think what's she called, Suran Jones.
Oh, I love her.
In a way, that's the way I visualize her. Dark haired, and from Dr. Foster, wasn't she?
Yeah.
But
she was in Coronation Street initially, wasn't she?
Yeah, that's right. She's
quite feisty.
She's done lots of good stuff, hasn't she?
She has. I always think no matter what she's in, it's going to be good. It's always got to be worth a watch.
Yeah.
She's a good choice. Kaz has asked, do you read a lot of crime fiction? Do you read a lot in general?
Well, I used to read more than I am at the moment. I lost my reading mojo a bit during lockdown. I just couldn't get going with things. But over the years, I've always liked contemporary fiction, such as Maggie O'Farrell and Kate Atkinson. But my main go-to has been crime, always. So Rebus and Val McDermott, all the usual people like that, Minette Walters. I'd always work through my way through every new book all these authors get, Elizabeth George, so I loved all those books. But of course now I'm lucky enough sometimes to be sent books to read and see if I give a quote, so it's quite nice. I've opened up to new authors, and from being, when I was at HarperCollins as well, I've read lots of their books, and I've got some really close, wonderful friends, and I read all their books too. So yeah, it's because there are so many. Don't you think, as crime? I'm sure a lot of your members are the same. You tend to stick to the same one. So when a new Rebus is book, you'll definitely, and that's great. But there are so many other brilliant books as well. But sometimes you get so stuck to the authors you like, you don't have time in a way to explore. But I do think psychological thrillers are. People keep going, oh, they're past it now, psychological thrillers, but they all seem to go. Keep going. Yeah,
I've got to admit, me and Kaz talk about this a lot, and the amount of new authors that we've discovered just through the book club in lockdown has been wonderful.
Yeah.
So it does. I mean, there's so many. We've got hundreds of author members in the group, so there's definitely a lot to choose from.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. TG. Oh, she said she's got to go, but thank you. She's really enjoyed what she's watched so far.
Yeah, go and get your tracksuit on again.
Kaz wants to know, is there a little bit of you in any of your characters?
I think, well, I don't know if all authors would admit to it, but I think we all put a little bit of ourselves in characters.
I think it'd be difficult not to.
Yeah, even if it's a guy or whatever, or whatever. I think you put little, or maybe not necessarily yourself, but other people, but just little. I always say I'm a bit like Frankenstein's, monster, and Frankenstein with his monster, and I get bits from everywhere. But certainly there'll be bits of Natalie Batch of me, and there'll be bits of, for example, in Betray Her, we've got Kate and Joe, and they're both, as I say, from quite different backgrounds and friendship. But I think there's bits of me in both of them, even though they're completely different characters. And even though, as I say, the friendship might not necessarily end up being good all the time.
Yeah.
Away.
Understatement.
But I do think a little bit of me of Joe and a little bit of me of Kate as well. Yeah. Certainly the childhood people, not the grown up.
Kaz wants to know, would you ever make a graphic novel version of one of your books?
I think that'd be quite hard. I don't know. I always think do longer story, maybe a short story. I don't know. Do longer. I've never read a long novel. Are there such things? I don't know. Come on, Cash, you've got to tell us.
I know, she'll have to comment underneath. Somebody has asked, did you find writing hard in lockdown? And that's Tony Millington has asked. Hi, Tony.
Yeah, no, I was, funny enough, okay. It was reading I struggled with, but I was okay with writing. But I'd started a new book just before lockdown, so I just carried on with that. So maybe I started it in, say, February, and then just carried on. So that's sort of, I'm glad I've got a whole manuscript now. How good it is or not, I've been through it. I wrote it and I've been through it again, and I've put it to one side now. So I was really glad to do that. But what I've done since is I've gone back to older books and trying to polish them up a bit. Because I don't know if other authors out there think so. You think it's really, really, really well written. And then you go back a month later and you think, oh, God. And so I think you do need to polish. So I think the basic story always stays the same, but it's just maybe writing that a bit better, I think.
Yeah. I've just been told we've got around 370 author members. Wow.
Oh, wow.
That's quite a lot, yeah.
Yeah.
Kaz has said we're a great combo for an interview, and she's really enjoying this one again.
Oh, thank you.
And Tony Millington has asked, where are your books set?
Well, they're mostly set locally. Again, it's probably me, but
in our beautiful rainy city.
Yeah. So, the first one, Beneath the Skin, was set in basically South Manchester. I live in Didsbury, so one of the characters lived in Didsbury, another in Chorlton, another in Withington. I think another one's set, Alderley Edge. That they were the posh couple down in Alderley Edge. But it just went to show that, you know, you might live in a massive house, but doesn't mean that life's perfect.
Nope.
Then my husband's lives, again, similar sort of areas. And then Betray Her, I've gone off a little bit because this is set, Betray Her is set Manchester, but it's also set partially, Joe's childhood was in Barnsley. Now, really, it's in my head, it's where I was born, which is in Sheffield.
I was just going to say that.
Yeah.
Is it to do with you coming over from
Yeah.
Sheffield?
So that's what it's my childhood village. That's what I'm imagining. But I sort of thought I moved it out a little bit. It's not, I mean, Barnsley is very close to Sheffield, so I moved it out a bit. And also Kate, also the Peak District, because Kate lives in the Peak District. And
beautiful place.
Yeah, it's gorgeous, isn't it? And again, that's not that far from Manchester, is it?
No, not at all. No.
So that's and then the boarding school they went to is in Derbyshire, and then there's part of it goes to Corfu, so there's a little bit in Corfu just to make a change. Yeah. So yeah.
Have you been to Corfu before you wrote it?
Yeah. That was, you know, you sort of.
Was it just for research purposes, or?
No, I'm going to do it. That apparently it's tax deductible if you do it for research purposes.
Well,
that's
good.
Earning enough to pay that amount of tax, but you know. And then my Natalie Batch books again. Natalie's office is in Didsbury,
yeah.
But she lives in Cheadle, which is where Kate Ellis lives, just down the road.
Oh.
But it's again set all around. She goes to courts all around the Manchester area. So and Cheshire. So she'll be in the Chester Crown Court and whatnot. So she moves around this area. And I think it's just because I think it helps get authenticity. It doesn't. The books don't have to be set here because it's mainly to do with people. We're all universal, aren't we? It could be anywhere. But when Betray Her first came out on here we are again on Kindle, my agent got some interest from an American Hollywood actress. It all went pear-shaped. But anyway, it was exciting while it lasted, and she phoned me up. So I had a phone call with her, you know, a half-hour phone call, her saying, "Oh, it's brilliant, I love this book." Anyway, and she was going to make it into proposing to make it into a mini-series. As I said, it never happened. But anyway,
there's still time.
She was going to relocate it from Manchester and Derbyshire and the Peak District and Barnsley to America.
Right.
I don't know how that would have worked, but, you know, anyway. If she, you never know, maybe one day she'll come back again. And
fingers crossed for you.
Yeah, that would be so lovely. I'd love to get an option because I'm sure lots of your authors do have TV options and whatnot, and it must be thrilling. It must be so great.
I think I've just got some lightning. That was interesting.
Oh,
it's really coming down out there now. So if the rain gets too loud, if you can hear it, I'll close the window. That's thrown me off. Are you ever tempted to have a walking tour or photos of where your novels are set for interested readers? That's from Kaz.
Well, in a way, that's a good question, Kaz, isn't it? Because in Betray Her, some seminal things happen in the Peak District and, you know, around Lady Bower and all those lovely hilly areas and everything. And it is gorgeous round there. And I put a few little snippets, historical snippets in there as well. So I could do that. Yeah. If all else fails, I could be a tour guide, couldn't I? I could come to the Peak District and read my book. Yeah. And I could do it round here, I guess. You know, just say this is where Dan and Seb, you know, fell in love, maybe.
Tony Millington, has said, "I'd like to hear them say 'A up' in America."
Yeah, I know. I would have been fascinated. I mean, obviously, I feel it's a very British story, but it shows. I mean, they did it with Girl on the Train, didn't they? It was set in London. Was it set in London? I went to the cinema to see the film, and I thought, I've never seen houses like this in London. And then, I was thinking, why is she speaking with this sort of odd American accent? And then finally, the penny dropped. They moved it from London to America, haven't they? I think my light's flashing again. Sorry about this.
It's okay, I've got lightning, you've got flashing lights.
But yeah. But I think when, as I said before, I think because at the end of the day, it's to do with people and emotions and obviously lies and hidden crime and whatnot. So it can be set anywhere. But I don't know, as you said, I don't know. What's the American equivalent of A Up?
I dread to think. No idea. There we go, Tony. Tell us what you think the American version of A Up.
Equivalent. Yeah.
Yeah. You're going to ask the tough questions. You need to have an answer ready.
Yeah, that's it.
So, what do your family and friends think of your books?
Well, it's sort of intermittent in terms of the family haven't read that many, but I mean they're really obviously pleased for me. They're and in fairness though, my eldest daughter read the first Natalie Batch book. She loved it, but she's had difficulty with the second, same as me, just in lockdown, just not,
Yeah.
And then friends have been lovely. One friend in particular, Belinda's been so supportive, and people are lovely and supportive, but they don't necessarily read your book. You know, it's strange. But then other people do, and they've been lovely. So yeah, it's a fun. But it's at the end of the day, you're just you, aren't you? You know, it's like I could be, Tom Cruise. Well, what I'm saying is I'd still just be a mate called Tom Cruise.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm really Tom Cruise. But I'm going to pull the
That was an interesting segue.
I'm just pretending to be Caroline England.
That's really funny, but at least we know who your go-to male is.
Oh, no, I'm not sure about that.
No.
I don't know why I said Tom Cruise. I'm going to do Lally, and I've not even had a drink yet.
No, I'm actually on water. I'm sure Kaz won't believe me, but I am. Tony said it depends which state you're in. Oh, that's right. A bit of a cop-out, Tony.
Well, hang on. What about California then, Tony? Come on, we need to know.
Poor Tony. So we've talked about you obviously being I was going to say soliciting then, being a solicitor.
No, that's a whole other story.
Obviously author. Have you done other jobs in between?
Well, I did actually. When I finished being a solicitor and I was at home, I became a volunteer mediator. Ooh. And, for the Manchester, I can't speak it, put my teeth back in, the Manchester City Council. And but that was brilliant because it was helping the community, which I enjoyed doing, giving something back. But it was really interesting because you'd have two mediators who'd go in and try and help people resolve a dispute. And the dispute could be about anything. Most of them were neighbourhood disputes about daft things like the bins, where people were putting the bins, or noise, or dog barking. But there were also other things like disputes between custody battles, or about the school and children and all this sort of thing. But from a writing point of view, it was to do with conflict and point of view. And it's funny how you go and you'd spend half an hour with one party and then go and spend half an hour with the other. And you think, is this the same set of facts they're talking about? And it just goes to show, and it's like writing, isn't it? How we've all got a point of view and we'll have our own versions of truth as well. So I think this has had an influence on my writing as well, because people do have their own version of truth, which isn't necessarily the truth, because what is the truth? Who knows? So yeah, that was really interesting. It was good. Yeah. So if you have an argument out there, anyone, I'm your man.
Going back to what we were saying before about plotting, and so do you kind of have any idea before you get going?
Yeah, just as I said, a sort of vague idea. So, for example, in My Husband's Lies, say, that there are four friends and they've all got either a secret or something's happened in their past and whatnot. And I think in that one I got, say, an idea of what two things I wanted to explore, and I wanted to slowly build up the characters and then reveal what it was. So I got that, but everything else gets fleshed out as I go along. But I must admit, I like that. I like that sort of. Because at the moment I'm in a position where I've written a book this year, as I say, and I'm at that stage where I think, can I ever write another one? How did I do it? But I think you've just got the answer to that is just you've got to sit down and do it and just see what happens. So yeah, I'm a pantser. Yeah, not a plotter.
I always find it kind of just mad how authors can keep all of these things in their head and not know, not have it written down, not have an idea of where they're going.
Yeah, I know it's
I always
weird,
find that amazing.
Yeah, it's a sort of, it's like, I know, I remember seeing what's she called? Cummins, whatever. Anyway, an author, and she said she always calls it the magic of writing. She says it's weird, and it is a bit like magic. The way, I suppose it's your mind, your subconscious, or whatever. I don't know, but it's good when it happens. It's bad when it doesn't.
We had I
it's
can't
Fiona
think.
Cummins, that's it.
Yeah, Fiona Cummins. Yeah, we had an author chat a few days ago that Kaz hosted with Caroline Dunford, and I've lost my train of thought completely, but she was saying that she dreams of books before she writes them.
Wow, that must be good.
Some intense, amazing dreams.
Yeah. Well, I have great dreams where I'm in the dream thinking, this is brilliant, this is really good. I can't remember anything when I wake up. So I suppose the answer is to wake yourself up and write it down, but I like my sleep too
Easier
much.
said than done. Yeah, definitely. David Gilchrist has said, "We're so good, he stopped watching the cricket to listen to us."
Whoa!
He's the founder of our lovely group.
Praise indeed, thank you.
That is praise indeed from a Yorkshireman who loves his cricket.
Yeah. Took cricket. Listen, I saw Geoffrey Boycott get his 100th when I was a little girl, so at Headingley, so he'll appreciate that.
He's also said Peter May did a book with pictures of locations he had written about, so it worked for him. That's an extra idea for you.
Yeah, lovely.
We're actually coming up to almost the end of the hour. We've got just over 5 minutes left. That's gone really fast.
Happen? Yeah,
I know. So, do you want to give us a recap of your books so that everybody knows what to go and buy?
Yeah. So, well, just starting again, I keep showing you all this pretty picture, but Betrayhead, this is where you can enter the competition, and Little Brown have very kindly agreed to donate 5 copies. And so if you go to the link on the book club and fill in your name, and you're in with a chance with winning a copy. So that would be great. And then My Husband's Lies. This is the one that was the Kindle top 10 bestseller for quite a long time. And then my debut was Beneath the Skin, and that again is a domestic suspense. And then my Caro Land books, if I can find both of them. And here they are. So Confessions and Convictions, and they're on a very good deal. This is 99p. If you fancy
that's really good.
A go, yeah, book one. So for 99p, you might want to give it a go and see if you like it, because it's a new series. And the follow-up is Confessions, and depending on how well they do, I might write more. But
well, I'm really hoping that you do. Yeah, we have, because I love Natalie Dutch, and I really want to read more from her. So let's hope.
The funny thing is, people who have read them have really enjoyed them, but it's just getting word out there. So if any of you guys out there, maybe people are put off by thinking it's legal, but it's still crime, isn't it? And it's still intrigue and reveals and secrets and relationships.
Yeah.
So I don't think it's not sort of like a courtroom drama. Maybe that's people are put off by that. I don't know, but maybe for 99p on Kindle, give it a go, and if you like it, I might write another.
I really hope you do. I actually was talking to, can't think who it was, one of the admins. It might have been Lucy. Hi, Lucy. And saying I'm completely smitten with Nat. I really want to read more of her.
Yeah.
But it's like you say, you've developed these real relationships. They're not kind of just plonked in there. They're really carefully thought through.
Yeah.
And they're really natural relationships as well.
Yeah. I hopefully that what I've tried to do with the Natalie Batch books, there is humour in there, isn't there? There's a lot of things that will make you sort of laugh and whatnot, but there's a lot of trauma as well, and dark aspects as well. So I've tried to blend the light and dark. So it's and hopefully an easy read as well.
Yes.
Yeah,
I'd agree with that. Yeah.
but because I mean, obviously, that has a legal backdrop, and I think that there is so much you could put in a book because the law covers all sorts of things. So yeah, there's potential. So maybe, yeah, maybe anything.
I hope so. And I mean, the relationships in there you could find in any
Yeah,
workplace, really, in any home, and
yeah,
you really go for it.
yeah,
But I agree, they're an easy read, but in a way that because they just flow, they flow so well that you kind of, it's almost like you lull us into a false sense of security, and you forget you're reading this, this gritty book, and then all of a sudden something else whacks you, and you go, oh.
Oh, thank you. You can be my PR person. I'll
I'm
take you around with me everywhere.
absolutely, I would happily agree to that.
Oh, no, thank
David
you.
Gilchrist has put a link on. I'm not sure whether it's just your Amazon page that is linked to, but we'll have a look at that. I'm not going to put that up, but for anyone who's looking for your books on Amazon, then David's dropped a link in for us. So thank you very much, David, and hello, Linda.
Oh, I've just seen that Caroline says she's just downloaded Convictions. Oh, bless you. Thank you.
Brilliant. Well, and just above that, she's written, "This is a fab chat, but now I need to go and buy books again. Stop doing such good chats, Sam. My bank balance can't cope."
Oh,
It is an expensive hobby, I've got to tell
yeah,
you.
yeah. I know, and but not just that. It's time, isn't it? You need time to read them all.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Yeah, that's the trickiest bit when we've got an author coming up who's got 20 books in the back catalogue and I haven't started yet. Yeah, I'm getting used to reading faster. Caroline just flies through books, but I'm working on my reading speed.
Yeah, yeah. But of course, you want to enjoy it as well, don't you? So I suppose it's a balance to not rush through so fast that But yeah.
We've got Mike Hemming talking about the cricket now,
Oh
saying
right.
to David Gilchrist, "Good day for England again," whatever that means. But sounds like it's good news anyway.
Oh well, that's good. We want good news. Yeah, yeah.
So give us a quick recap on what you're working on at the moment.
Yeah, so my next book with Little Brown, Piactus and Little Brown, is called Truth Games, and that's due out on a trade paperback size, the big paperback size, and Kindle in November.
Oh,
And
soon.
yeah, so I'm excited about that, and that's I'm really pleased with the book, and I think I think there are lots of twists and turns and whatnot, and hopefully it will be again. And again, that's sort of set locally. Or this time, I've gone a little bit towards Stockport.
Yeah.
So yeah, so but it starts with the truth game at university, where they're
Oh.
sharing truths, and then university. Then it goes to that they're now sort of late 30s. And but it's what's happened at the truth game. That's one of the things, and it's called Truth Games because that's not the only truth game that's going on.
I can imagine with you, it's going to be there's going to be a lot going on. I look
Yeah,
forward to
yeah,
it.
and hopefully as well. Again, it's got grounded characters, and I've brought the kids in, and the main character Ellie has 3 boys, and I've brought a bit of humour in with the boys and whatnot. But obviously, there's a lot of darkness as well.
Mm.
Yeah.
It wouldn't be one of your books
No.
without an edge to it, would it? And that's it. Our hours up. Thank you
Oh,
so
thank
much for coming
you.
back to join me again.
Oh,
Absolutely love having you. I always go away with a big smile on my face.
oh, me too. Well, thank you. You're a lovely interviewer, so thanks. And
Oh,
thanks everyone
thank you.
for listening and for inviting me. And good luck with the competition.
Yes, it's in the pinned post at the top of the UK Crime Book Club, so go and have a look. And good
Brilliant.
luck, everyone. Thank you again.
Well, have a nice
Bye.
evening, everyone.
You too.
Thank
Bye.
you. Bye.